The alarm rings. It's 6:30 in the morning. You open your eyes and, before even breathing fully, your hand reaches for your phone. Notifications, emails, news. A social media post that makes you feel like you're already behind. You haven't even gotten out of bed, and your mind is already racing forward, 2, 3, maybe 5 hours into the future. Deadlines, meetings, that text you haven't replied to, that bill waiting on the counter. Does this sound familiar? Most of us live like this, a life of constant chase, always moving, always rushing, always searching for the next thing. The truth is, this chase never ends. The mind tells us, when I finally finish this project, then I'll be at peace. Or, when I get the promotion, the car, the relationship, then life will settle. But have you noticed, every time you reach that goal, peace doesn't come. It slips further away, attaching itself to the next thing. The finish line moves, and you keep running. This is what I call the endless chase. Life becomes a treadmill. You run faster, you sweat harder, but you never move forward. You get older, more tired, and more anxious. And in the quiet moments, maybe late at night, a question creeps in. Why am I never enough? Why does life still feel incomplete? The answer is not because you lack something. The answer is because you are chasing in the wrong direction. You are chasing peace in the future. But peace only lives in the present. Think about a child playing with a stick in the dirt or running after a butterfly. There is no concept of past mistakes, no anxiety about tomorrow. There is only the game, the butterfly, the joy of this moment. That child is alive, truly alive. And then something happens as we grow up. We trade that aliveness for the chase. We are told, be responsible. Think about the future. Learn from the past. These are not bad in themselves. But slowly we forget the art of being present. We become prisoners of time. Modern life makes it worse. Society is designed to fuel the chase. Advertising whispers every day, you are not enough. You need this product to feel better. You need this upgrade to feel complete. Social media shows you the highlight reels of other people's lives, tricking you into believing you're behind. Work culture praises endless productivity, hustle, grind, as if slowing down is a sin. We are taught that calm, joy, and meaning exist only as rewards after effort, after the achievement, after the money, after the recognition. But what if that is the greatest lie? What if calm is not waiting at the end of the race? What if calm is available right now? Imagine this scenario. You're on a train, rushing toward a destination. The scenery outside is beautiful, golden fields, rivers, mountains in the distance. But your head is buried in your phone, stressing about an email. The train reaches the station, you get off, and suddenly you realize, I missed the whole journey. That is how most people live. Always traveling, never arriving. Always rushing, never truly living. This endless chase doesn't just steal your joy, it also steals your health. Stress hormones flood your body, cortisol stays high, sleep becomes shallow. The nervous system, built for short bursts of survival, is stuck in permanent fight or flight. Over time, the body breaks down. Anxiety, depression, heart disease, even memory loss, all linked to living in the chase. But here's the good news. You don't have to live like this. There is another way. That way begins with one simple truth. Life only exists in the present moment. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, only now. You cannot breathe yesterday's breath. You cannot live tomorrow's heartbeat. Everything real, everything alive, is happening in this instant. The tragedy is that we miss it because our mind is elsewhere. But if you learn to return to now, to step off the treadmill, you discover something extraordinary. The peace you've been chasing was never in the future. It was here all along, waiting for you. The human mind is a paradoxical space. On one hand, it is the most sophisticated instrument evolution has ever produced, capable of abstract thought, creativity, scientific discovery, and the contemplation of its own existence. On the other hand, it is also the source of humanity's deepest suffering. Anxiety, restlessness, dissatisfaction, and despair are not merely imposed from the outside world. They often arise from the internal chatter of thought itself. This inner landscape, while invisible, can become a prison, one built not of stone and steel, but of ideas, memories, expectations, and relentless self-judgment. To live in what we call the prison of mind is to experience reality not as it is, but as it is filtered through the restless projections of thought. We wake up each day and immediately find ourselves bombarded by a cascade of internal narratives, tasks to complete, regrets from yesterday, fears about tomorrow. The body may be lying still in bed, but the mind is already running, sprinting toward an imagined future or replaying the unsolved fragments of the past. Modern neuroscience has given this phenomenon a name: the default mode network, a cluster of brain regions that activates when the mind is left to wander. Far from being restful, this wandering often loops back to self-referential concerns, rumination, worry, and comparison. It is within this loop that the prison bars are formed. Philosophers throughout history have recognized this inner captivity. The Stoics in ancient Greece spoke of the tyranny of uncontrolled desires and fears. Buddhism framed the mind's restlessness as dukkha, a pervasive unsatisfactoriness that follows even in moments of apparent pleasure. In modern psychology, cognitive science reveals how much of human thought is repetitive and automatic, with studies suggesting that over 80% of daily thoughts are recycled from the previous day. If freedom means living fully in the present, then the ordinary unexamined life is one of quiet incarceration. The walls of this prison are made not from external forces, but from identification with thought itself. When an anxious idea arises, "I might fail this task," most people do not see it as a transient mental event. Instead, they merge with it, experiencing the thought as reality. The distinction between a thought in the mind and the truth of my life collapses. The prisoner does not realize he is imprisoned, because the bars are invisible. He believes he is thinking freely, yet the thought patterns are repetitive and conditioned. Just as a fish cannot perceive the water in which it swims, many of us cannot perceive the invisible climate of worry, comparison, and anticipation in which we live. This condition has profound consequences for human well-being. Research in clinical psychology links chronic rumination and excessive self-focus to depression and anxiety disorders. Neuroscientific studies show that when the brain is persistently caught in the default mode network, there is decreased connectivity to regions associated with sensory awareness and emotional regulation. In simpler terms, the more time we spend trapped in thought loops, the less attuned we are to the living world around us. A sunrise may unfold in the sky, but the prisoner of mind hardly notices it. He is busy replaying yesterday's meeting or rehearsing tomorrow's confrontation. Life slips past unnoticed, sacrificed on the altar of incessant thinking. The tragedy of this imprisonment is compounded by its subtlety. A person who is physically chained knows he is not free, but the prisoner of mind often believes that his chains are essential tools of survival. He tells himself, "I must worry about tomorrow, or I will not be prepared. I must rehearse every possibility, or I will fail. I must compare myself with others, or I will fall behind." The mind masquerades as a protector, when in fact it is the warden. The result is a restless existence where calm is perpetually deferred. Peace is imagined as a reward that lies at the end of constant mental effort. But the more one chases it through thought, the further it recedes. The philosophical core of this prison lies in a mistaken relationship with time. The mind operates largely in two directions: backward into memory and forward into anticipation. Both are indispensable for survival. Without memory, one could not learn. Without anticipation, one could not plan. But when these mental functions dominate consciousness, the present moment becomes eclipsed. One lives not in what is happening, but in what has happened, or what might happen. Time itself becomes a trap. The mind constructs a narrative self, a story stitched together from memories and projected futures, and convinces us that this story is who we are. To question this identification feels terrifying, for it shakes the foundation of identity itself. Yet this is precisely where the possibility of liberation begins. Consider the child at play. For a child deeply immersed in drawing with crayons or building a tower of blocks, the flow of time vanishes. There is no anxious rehearsal of tomorrow's events, no shame about yesterday's mistakes. There is only the vivid aliveness of the present activity. The child is not imprisoned, for he has not yet built the walls of self-conscious rumination. But as he grows, social conditioning, cultural narratives, and personal insecurities accumulate like bricks. Be responsible. Don't forget what happened last time. Think about your future. Slowly the bars of the prison take shape. By adulthood, most people no longer remember what it felt like to be free from constant mental noise. They accept the prison as normal life. Modern society not only normalizes this imprisonment, but actively deepens it. The attention economy thrives on restlessness. Social media platforms are engineered to keep the mind oscillating between comparison and craving. Advertising whispers incessantly, "You are not enough yet. Buy this product, upgrade your life, then you will be complete." Work cultures glorify busyness as a badge of honor, equating stillness with laziness. Even leisure is commodified into another performance for the approval of others. Under such conditions, the prison of mind is not a personal failure, but a collective condition. Humanity at large has mistaken agitation for progress and restlessness for meaning. But to recognize the prison is the first step toward freedom. A prisoner who does not realize he is imprisoned will never seek release. To see clearly the mechanics of mental captivity, to notice how thoughts arise, how they dominate attention, how they dissolve when left ungrasped, this awareness opens the door to another way of being. Psychological research on mindfulness and contemplative practices demonstrates measurable changes in the brain when attention is trained to return to the present moment. The default mode network quiets. Regions linked to empathy and emotional regulation grow stronger. People report not only reduced anxiety, but also a deeper sense of meaning and connection. This is not mystical speculation, it is an empirical reality. Yet liberation from the prison of mind is not about destroying thought. The goal is not a blank mind, stripped of memory and anticipation. Rather, it is about changing one's relationship with thought. When one sees thoughts as mental events, not ultimate truths, the bars begin to dissolve. A worry arises. I might fail. But instead of merging with it, one can notice, this is a thought, not reality. It is a cloud passing through the sky of awareness. With this shift, the prisoner realizes that the door has been open all along. He was free to step out at any moment. Philosophers from East and West converge on this insight. The Stoic Epictetus taught that it is not events themselves, but our judgments about them that disturb us. Buddhist teachers emphasize that thoughts are like waves on the ocean. They arise and fall, but the ocean itself remains vast and undisturbed. Contemporary psychology echoes this in the concept of cognitive diffusion, a therapeutic practice in which clients learn to see thoughts as separate from reality, reducing their grip on behavior. Across traditions and disciplines, the message is the same. The mind can be a tool, but when mistaken for the whole of self, it becomes a cage. To step beyond this cage requires cultivating presence. Presence is the opposite of imprisonment because it reconnects us with what is real in this moment. The breath as it moves in and out of the lungs, the sensations of the body grounded in space, the sound of wind moving through trees. These are not abstractions. They are direct experiences, untouched by mental commentary. In presence, the compulsive narratives of the mind fade into the background. What remains is a quiet, luminous awareness, the open sky in which all clouds of thought appear and disappear. This awareness is not something exotic or distant. It is always already here. The tragedy is that we overlook it because the noise of thought is so loud. But through deliberate practice, whether meditation, mindful breathing, or simply pausing to notice the present, the prison walls weaken. In time, one begins to realize that freedom was never about controlling external circumstances, but about disentangling from the tyranny of inner chatter. The prison of mind is not inevitable. It is a conditioned state, reinforced by culture, but not intrinsic to human nature. The gift of now, the calm that arises in the present moment, is not waiting at the end of endless striving. It is available here, in the very heartbeat of existence. To recognize this is not merely a psychological trick, but a radical reorientation of life. It is to discover that peace is not something to be achieved, but something to be remembered. The door of the prison is open. Step through, and the restless world begins to transform.